So this is a concept that I was gonna make an entire thing about this, big ol' long drawn out tutorial, sort of VHS box set. But this is so simple that I could just, instead of exporting it, I can just like look at the file. So, anyways, this is how to block in tricking, and this is just like part of what goes on in my head when I'm doing combos and really any trick. This is just one sort of like trickological concept that I think is super important to understand. So I'm just going to play this animation through a couple times, like a little bit, just so you can kind of get the idea. But this is basically, when should you activate the jump, or when should you press the jump button, assuming that it's a video game. Because I don't know about you, but I like to think that life is just a video game with far more complexities, but the patterns are the same. Okay, so this is like Mario Golf. This is basically what you're playing. And normally people try to press it on the green. That's like the first newbie mistake. And you'll notice that he ended up on the orange. And that's because like anybody who's ever played that game, when the thing spins around, you got to stop it right when it gets there. Like, you'll know, like, you don't press it on the green when you see it, because there's, not only is there a lag between like your brain sending the muscle, or the signal to your muscles to move, there's also a lag from what you're actually seeing to what's actually taking place, which is why if you can move and like predict it, it's much more efficient. So instead of clicking it when it gets to the green, ideally you'd want to click it somewhere a little bit before, like right there, and then you'll actually take off from the green, because the actual process of jumping takes a couple of frames of animation. And these are frames of animation. You can think of all the tricks as the same. You can think of it just like animation. So if you understand an animation suite, tricks will be a lot easier to comprehend. Just the concept of like, here's a frame, and he's like standing here. This frame, he's like all the way up here. So to do like a round off back tuck, at some point you're going to do the round off and you're going to hit this frame. And you want to hit the ground at that frame and then take off at that frame. That's just like that concept real quick right there. Blocking is all about not just jumping up and down on one spot and going straight up. Blocking is about taking your angular momentum, like at this angle, it's going this way. But because you hit the ground here and initiate your jump, it's actually going to take off once you're standing up, assuming that you're moving fast enough. Because you'll see a lot of people try to do like cart full, and they'll do a cartwheel and then kind of stop and then do a B twist or something. And that's why they're not landing. It's why it's not working. It's because they're not riding this momentum. So you have to ride this. But I'm going to keep playing this animation. It's going to go back to the beginning one where you press it when it's green. But this is Mario Golf. If you've never played Mario Golf, you should fucking play it. So yeah, that one will just send you back a little bit. If you do it ahead of time, if you do it right in the center to go up, you get the most amount of height. It also works for from flipping when you're going in the other way. So right here, if you land in the orange, you probably could still land back on it and combo back forwards. But if you land in the red, you're pretty much like, those are the ones that you throw and you stop in the middle there. You're like, not that one. That's it. That's a good thing not to throw it there. So on the front flip, you again started beforehand. And this concept works coming from a back flip. Like, you're never just gonna like sit there and willy wallow like this. It'll almost always be coming from a back flip or another setup or a scoot, a TD raise. And the concept is the same every time. You don't want to initiate your jump right at the perfect moment. You want to do it a little bit before, because the process of jumping takes time, and you want the takeoff to be in the green, not the initial motion of it. All right, so there's the backflip. You want it, yeah. It's like when you do the backflip, you don't want to land, if you're going to do like backflip to quad full, you don't want to land your backflip perfectly straight up and down. You want to be a little bit at an angle like this, coming into it, so that when you catch it, you have that natural flip momentum from this frame to you standing up. That is enough to carry the momentum, as long as you don't resist, so that you can compartmentalize your arms and only twist. And just going from this to this with your entire body without using your arms at all is going to make you do a backflip. As long as you stay tight and you're not like a loose, like live weight. You got to be dead weight. You got to be tight, and you know what I'm saying. So that's just that's a concept of compartmentalization that's super important and tricky that like people need to understand. And the way you understand like how that works is like um, you learn how to do a backflip without using your arms. You learn how to do a backflip only using your arms. You learn how to do a backflip with like using this part of your like chest, and like there's all these different ways that you can make the backflip happen without using other parts of your body, which then when you're in the air, that frees up those parts to add variations and augmentations. So I don't know if this clip has a good example of what I'm talking about, but let's say I'll open up this one. It's called engines. So let's say this is just to explain compartmentalization. If you don't know animation or animation terms, maybe this won't make as much sense. But okay, so here are these two. These are two um, groupings. So these two groupings. This first one is this front leg up here. If I move this, it moves the whole leg. Okay. So this is like the gross macro, like the big movement. But within this movement, so like for instance, zoom out. Let's say I want to swing. Just out real quick, but anyways. So if I'm going to do a swing and I'm going to swing my leg, the gross macro movement of the swing is pull this back, pull this muscle forward. Because I'm using this muscle and it all comes from the core, all these muscles, the thigh, the knee, the ankle, the toes, all that is going to move with it regardless. It's just going to happen just because of how the way you're connected and how physics work. But within doing this motion, if you actually go into the compartmentalization, like here's my actual knee, here's the lower leg. So if I wanted to load within that swinging of the leg, if I actually pull that guy back, so now I'm going to pull the thigh back. If it actually cocks back like that, that's called a chamber. And then when I swing it out like that, if I actually then take this lower leg and re-swing it back out, oh shit, wrong one. I gotta grab it on this thing or some shit. Yeah, pull it back out to there, whatever. I mean, this is I'm animating it, but not actually like animating it. But actually swing this leg back out. Then not only do you have the momentum of swinging this leg, the thigh, you now have an added compartmentalized mini engine of swinging the lower leg from the back of the butt to the front of the knee. And that is what adds a double jump mechanic. It literally makes you weigh less so that when you're doing this with this leg, this back leg is the one that's in charge of jumping because it's the only one that's actually still touching the ground. Because you're throwing all this momentum up, not just with the thigh, but with the lower leg and the knee and stuff and the feet. When you go to jump on this, if you time it right, you will actually weigh less than you've ever weighed, and it'll allow you to jump way higher than you normally can. That's partially why in the Olympics they do the flop or whatever in the high jump. They swing a leg up just like this. Which, by the way, there's no rules about doing a vanish takeoff. It just has to be 1 foot at a time. They don't know what a vanish is, so people could be breaking all these records doing like a cartwheel boneless Arabian. Just saying, Olympics is rigged and is horrible and corrupt and bad for the planet. But back to this though. So compartmentalization isn't just about like your legs and just about like these two muscles or whatever. It's also about like an entire concept. So like if you know how to do a full, or if you know how to like do a backside nine or just twisting in general using your arms, if you can compartmentalize how to do a backflip without using your arms, like just using your hips and core, then once you initiate that backflip, you should be able to use your arms to twist and it won't affect your backflip, or it marginally should affect your backflip, so that you still should be able to combine two elements into one. So yeah, that's just like the gist of some concepts that I think are a little more abstract and they're kind of hard to talk about to communicate accurately, especially like in the moment when someone's on the tramp or something. But I think if you understand like this that you're looking at, and the compartmentalization and the blocking and everything's kind of a mini game, it should totally help. Uh, Let me know if that helps.